Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Raising the New Earth. I am your podcast host, Noah Dori, and today's episode is all about GLP-1, the skinny on the hottest hormone, and weight loss and metabolic health. So, GLP-1 is all the rage right now when it comes to weight management and losing weight, substantial amount of weight. So, the question is, why is everyone talking about drugs like Ozempic and others? And what's the deal with microdosing GLP-1? Are they safe, effective? Let's unpack it all through science, safety, and what the data actually says. So GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. So this is a hormone that naturally is produced in the gut. And we know that obese people don't produce enough of it, or that is what the current data says, specifically in the L cells and the small intestines. So it's released in response to food intake, and it does play a crucial role in stimulating insulin secretion when glucose is high, suppressing glucagon, which helps prevent high blood pressure, and slowing gastric emptying. And the kicker, reducing appetite by acting on the brain's satiety centers, which is the leptin. So it's like the body's own metabolic whisperer, helping you feel full and satiated and keeping your blood sugar levels in check. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Scientists figured out how to create GLP-1 receptor agonist drugs that basically mimic this hormone to try to harness those benefits for specifically, it started with type 2 diabetes, people with type 2 diabetes, and more recently, people who are looking to manage obesity and celebrities who want to be thinner and lose weight, and all around just feel better about their body. So the rise of GLP-1 agonists, Ozempic, and more, there are many, many, many different GLP-1 medications out there, semaglutide, Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro. They all target the GLP-1 and the GIP receptors. So these drugs are part of the new class of GLP-1 receptor agonists. The efficacy can be impressive. In a 2021 NEJM study, participants on one of those drugs, on Wegovy, lost an average of 14.9% of their body weight over 68 weeks in comparison to the 2.4% of the placebo group. Another study had similar results, and they noticed that those that took that drug improved their glucose level in type 2 diabetes, blood pressure, LDL cholesterol, and potentially lower their cardiovascular risk, which is so shown in a leader trial for another drug. So all of that sounds so good on paper. So what's the side effect? What do we really need to know? Well, personally, what I know is that I had clients and friends that have taken it, and they have been dosaged by their PCP, and they have experienced, one person in particular has experienced severe mental health issues and suicidal thoughts. And he is obese, and he does have type 2 diabetes. Another colleague of mine was rushed to the hospital because she couldn't stop vomiting. And another client and another friend experienced severe nausea to a point where it was just not worth it. So the side effects are very important to get to know for the process of decision making, right? And there's no medication without any side effects. The most common side effects with GLP-1 agonists include, like I said, nausea, affecting about 40% of the population, vomiting, diarrhea or constipation, fatigue, headaches, and these are mostly dose dependent and often improved over time, but some do not. So it is not a one size fits all. I think that is the main point of this particular podcast episode. There are serious risks that include pancreatitis, even though it is rare, gallbladder issues, thyroid tumors in rodents. A human study is inconclusive, and muscle loss. So they noticed that there is a lot of lean muscle that can be decreased with rapid weight loss. There's also a psychological effect, like I discussed before. That person that I know has experienced emotionally blunted experience to a point where that person had suicidal thoughts, severe suicidal thoughts. And I can attest to the person mental stability before taking the GLP-1, and that person was mentally stable, or at least from my personal observation. So that is the main concern, other than the concern of cost and access. These drugs can cost between $900 to $1,200 per month in the US without insurance. The possible way out could be, and it's been a method that it's been employed by several practitioners, microdosing of GLP-1. So microdosing GLP-1, it is a hotter trend right now in both the wellness and the clinical world. It basically refers to taking subclinical or very low dosages of GLP-1 agonists and then aim to minimizing the side effects that are associated with taking the GLP-1 to begin with, while still gaining the metabolic benefits. This has to do with working with a practitioner that has done microdosing of GLP-1. I currently know 2 practitioners that do it and have done so successfully. The question is, does it work? So emerging studies and anecdotal reports suggest that lower doses may still suppress appetite modestly, may offer metabolic improvements without full-blown nausea and other side effects that we mentioned before, are better tolerated for long-term use, and may be an option for also maintenance after larger weight loss. A 2023 paper in Obesity Reviews looked at this phenomenon and called for more randomized controlled trials, RCTs, but preliminary data supports the idea that less might still be quite effective, especially when combined with lifestyle state changes. So I can't stress this enough. Personally, being dependent on a drug of some sort is a least desirable option for me. Now, when someone hasn't quite figured out their eating habits, but eventually needs to get off of that pharmaceutical, what is the answer? Are you going to be on GLP-1 for the rest of your life? There needs to be a multidisciplinary approach to weight loss. We already know that weight loss is not only the physical act of eating and then taking out this energy and exercising. There is an emotional component to eating. There's an emotional component to when we eat, why some people are more prone to eating more. A work by a scientist, a fantastic PhD by the name of Susan Pierce, is worth looking into. She is incredible. She is a scientist that looks into food, and she calls food an addiction. She had a severe battle with drugs back in the day that she overcame. She advocates for the removal of flour and sugar after she tested how that affects the brain of someone who is prone to addiction. And she has created a whole protocol for those that battle with either eating disorders or other addictions by removing flour and sugar and creating this certain protocol, kind of like a 12-step program, if you may. So this is a person that I would highly recommend looking into her work because she already did the footwork for you, per se. Another thing to look at is because we are doing it under a physician supervision, we tend to trust that physician more. But the truth of the matter is that no physician can tell how this GLP-1 agonist will affect your body. And so your attention is required and your knowledge is required. And and I think that coupled with nutrition and resistance training can help prevent A, muscle loss, and B, can help create better habits, better eating habits that will help that individual get off of the GLP-1 agonist and into a better lifestyle overall. Not to mention, those that are fit to begin with will not have to lose their muscle and the hard work that I've put in by keeping that resistance training and keeping up with eating healthfully, because that medication can only help us so much without us being in charge and taking the wheel. And also, it is a matter of how far and how long have you tried without taking the GLP-1. Do you feel that this could be life changing? Because we do see that this could be life changing, especially for those people with type 2 diabetes, obesity with metabolic complications, PCOS, cardiovascular risk factors. But they may not be a magic bullet. We're all looking for that magic bullet so many times. And I have to say it, we look at influencers and we look at celebrities and what they are doing. But you have to understand that these celebrities that may need their body as the vehicle for their success may not look into the safest thing that they have to do, but rather the one thing that can help them feel better and look better for a certain goal. So even if you hear about celebrity taking that, they may not be taking it for long because that event that they had to look good for is done. And so it can be like an on and off type of thing. And also, they're not physicians. So looking at an influencer that gets paid to market something to you or promote something to you should be taken with a grain of salt, should be taken with critical thinking, saying, okay, this may have worked for this person, hypothetically, but it may not work for me. And so this is not a magic bullet. And if this is something that you have considered, and I've seen people that GLP-1 can be of great benefit to them. But if this is something that you have considered, just consider combining it with real foods, not ultra processed food, or at least the 80-20, 80% of the time, eat real food. Strength training, mind body awareness, and regular follow up with a healthcare provider. Also, when you combine it with really nutrient dense meals, you want to check your mental and emotional state when you're eating. Are you eating standing up by the kitchen? Are you eating in a rush? Is this like a grab and go? Are you taking a few moments before you consume the food to say your blessing, to say your gratitude, so it will digest differently in your system? Are you hydrated enough? Are you drinking enough? Are you eating because you are dehydrated? What's your hydration level? Also, try brushing your teeth after you're done with dinner, or put a mouth guard, or if you have Invisalign after you finish dinner. That could be your natural deterror for you to stop eating at after dinner. Leave the kitchen, go for a walk, or even try holistic approaches such as acupuncture and hypnotherapy. Did you know that the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and the WHO both recognize acupuncture as an effective treatment for many conditions, and it can be covered by your insurance? And again, look into the work of Susan Pierce Thompson and her battle with food and drugs addiction, and how she advocates for certain things such as flour and sugar to be completely removed for certain people with addiction tendencies for the sake of a long-term diet and lifestyle. Also, you can look back at the episode I did about eating disorders versus disordered eating. And if you're already metabolically healthy and just want to drop a few pounds, then look into the risk to benefit ratio. It may not make sense to you, especially with long-term safety questions still being explored. So, final thoughts and future of GLP-1s. The wave of GLP-1 is here and it is not going away anytime soon. I do encourage you to do some of your critical thinking and some of your own research, and and then see if that's something that's good for you and what is the reason for you wanting to do it. Because I have seen many people who are thin but they're not healthy. Just, go visit a nearby hospital. You're going to see what I'm talking about. So some people can carry a bit more weight, but they're still healthier than the ones that look super thin. And also, mental state has to do with it. Are you doing it for the sake of feeling better in your body, or are you doing it because you want to look like someone else? So it is likely that we're going to see GLP-1 personalized protocols in the future, tailored to genomics, microbiome profiles, and wearable data. But at the end of the day, the goal is not being thin. The goal is resilience and energy and clarity and long-term health and happiness from within. And GLP-1 may be the bridge, but the foundation still remains the same. This is still going to be the basics. It's food, it's movement, it's sleep, it's amazing community, and a lot of inner work. So that is not going to go away anytime soon. Thanks for tuning in to Raising the New Earth podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a review. And if you're curious about exploring GLP-1s from a functional root cause perspective, drop me a line. And until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and stay well. See you later. Bye.